Eerily haunting true stories about remote abandoned locations rich in history. Come with us in our travels from state to state, if you dare.
Be the last time anybody sees us alive. I don't know where she has us, but we're gonna get fucking killed.
Hello? Gina, there is a beehive over there. Do you see that in the hole?
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome. I'm Shannon.
I'm Gina.
And
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm excited about today's topic.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
We had a fun weekend.
we did.
Yeah.
We got to go to San Diego this weekend.
Mm-hmm. We did. We took a little, just a quick trip, Friday and Saturday. We stayed actually a little longer than we planned.
And it was like Ghost Adventures 2.0.
Yeah.
We like 3.0. We went to three
places. Yeah, but
this
it
weekend.
was super fun. We stayed a little longer than we had originally planned to, but
We did it for the ghost tours.
we did. Yeah, so we went to Old Town.
I love Old Town San Diego.
San Diego is beautiful. We ate
Food
at
is
a
amazing.
really good Mexican restaurant.
Yes.
And then we did a nighttime paranormal investigation of the Whaley House.
Yeah.
And we stayed at the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn, and I'm all about it.
I love the Holiday Inn. They feed you
Um,
breakfast. It's like,
It was they had a gym there, not that we used it, but
but it's nice to know it's there.
But it was, if you're ever in Old Town San Diego, the Holiday Inn that's like on the same street as the Whaley House. I don't know what street that is.
I don't even remember what street it was either.
Down
Down the street. It's in Old Town. The Holiday Inn in Old Town.
Yes, it is. Shout out to them.
Yeah, it was a nice day.
The rooms were so nice. The people were so nice.
It was comfortable.
Yeah. Like on Saturday morning,
The view of the freeway, okay, questionable, but you know what?
I was all about it.
We
I was
actually
all
had
about it.
city view because it faced the airport and the city of San Diego.
Yeah,
So,
it was nice.
and the bay. So it
Yeah.
was not a bad, even though it was right over the freeway, it was beautiful.
I feel like in such a short period of time, we did so much because I feel like Saturday was so filled with stuff to do, but we lounged around for like the first half of the day, did nothing. We just laid in bed and watched TV and ate and
Well, because we were at our paranormal investigation at the Whaley House till 1 a.m. I
Yeah,
don't think
so
we
we
got
were
back till
tired.
like 1:30.
yeah.
So,
But we got up early enough to get breakfast and then went back
free
to bed.
breakfast at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. It was fun. So and then we also went to Coronado.
Yes.
And we did a couple weeks ago, we did an episode on the Rebecca Zahout case at the Spreckles Mansion, and we were able to visit. We went to go visit we didn't visit the Spreckles Mansion, but we were right there.
We were right there. It's an historical landmark.
Yes.
So they actually have a sign on it, but they redid that
Yeah. It's
place.
all been redone.
Beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
pretty. We have the pictures on our YouTube
And I don't know
channel,
why. I told you too when we went there. I don't know why I thought it sat so far back from the street. I don't
It's
know.
pretty close.
Yeah, it's like right there. I had no idea, and I really had no idea how close it was to the beach, to the ocean.
Right across the street. It's
Like,
so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful visit.
Yeah.
And we have our pictures up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So check it out, what they did to it. So pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was everything was walking distance, really close to the Coronado, the Hotel del Coronado.
Yeah, so we visited
Gorgeous.
there.
Yeah. Took a tour there.
Had lunch there.
Yeah. Ooh,
Split a $30 cheeseburger.
expensive lunch. And then we thought like, oh, how much would it be to stay here? Ooh, yeah. Not in our budget. We need more Patreon.
Yeah, because on that episode that we did, we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll have to put that on our list. Yeah, I'm not sure what list we're putting that on because that's not going to be on our anytime soon visit list.
The cheapest one was like $690 a night. It was crazy.
Yeah, and that was the ones that we were looking at were like $3,700.
Thank you. 3,700. Yeah, for the villa.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
But it's very
not
beautiful
on our
there.
Holiday Inn budget.
No, but you can go there. You can visit. We did a tour
Yes.
there. You can have lunch there. You don't have to be a guest of the hotel.
They were actually saying you can even do a day pass to use the pool,
Yeah,
the
so-
cabanas.
And
it was very
everybody
beautiful.
was very, very nice and welcoming there. They
Yeah.
were very helpful. So, but today we are going to talk about the Whaley House.
Yeah, give you a little bit of history.
Yeah, we'll give you a little bit of history, and then we're going to talk about our experience. So we did they have a bunch of different things that you can do there. You can
Different
do
tours, yeah.
a day tour, an evening tour, and then you can do a paranormal investigation. And the only way that you can get to see every room in the house, I believe, is to do the paranormal investigation,
It was awesome.
which is I think the day tour is $10. The night tour might be like $10 or $12, and the paranormal investigation is like $140. So, it's quite a bit pricier.
But it was worth it because you can they have all the paranormal investigation devices that we've gone on our paranormal with people, and they have all their devices. And of course, it's their stuff, their equipment. They don't want to break it, so we can't touch it. We're not using it. But there they allowed us to pick your device, use different ones. So that was exciting.
Yeah. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the history in case, I'm sure not
Yeah, give you
everybody's
the background.
familiar with the history. So we'll start
No.
there.
Of course, because then we're going to introduce you to the people who are known to still occupy and
Yes.
haunt the Whaley
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
So the Whaley House is listed as one of California. I think it's listed as the California's
Most haunted.
place in California
Mm-hmm.
to be at. First of all, this place is in Old Town San Diego. It is located on top of it. Literally, there is a burial ground underneath kind of this whole area of Old Town San Diego.
Which I didn't know.
Yes. So that's why there's a lot of hauntings. So the cemetery looks really small, but it actually was a larger burial ground. And then restaurants and buildings started.
Yeah. It's just like a bunch of stuff is just built there. And I had no idea until this afternoon or this morning that it's not, because when we drove by on our way to the Whaley House, when we first got there, we're like, oh, look, a little cemetery, and it looks like really tiny. And so we're like, oh, we're going to go check that out after dinner. And so we did, and it was dark already, and we went and we walked through and we took some pictures and some videos and stuff. And then to later find out that it's not such a small cemetery, but they've just apparently have built over it.
Yeah, which was very common back then.
Yeah, because everybody buried there is from the late 1800s. It's not a new cemetery. There's nobody recently buried there, so no,
it's a very old cemetery. And the back in the day, San Diego was not very crowded,
right?
Very few people, and it had a huge amount of natives that lived on the land. And then of course, Mexico, San Diego was part of Mexico, so there was a lot of like battles over territory and stuff.
Right.
People just shot on the street, things like that.
Yeah.
And so back when the Whaley House was built, it was one of the first brick structures in all of California or in Southern California. And so it, I'll show you the picture of it, but if you look, there's nothing around it. There's no street. It's just
it's just there.
Yeah, built there. But prior to it being built there, it was used for hangings and things like that, that land. So there's a lot of stuff that happened on that land prior to the Whaley House being built. So San Diego, for those of you who aren't familiar, is just about a 2-hour drive from us.
Yeah.
From Los Angeles. The house was built in 1857 by Thomas Whaley. He was a merchant. He paid about $10,000 to build this house.
It's crazy.
And he did it with the architecture resembling a lot of homes from New York because he was from the East Coast. So Thomas Whaley was born in New York City. He was the 7th out of 10 children born to Rachel Pye and Thomas Alexander Whaley Sr., a gunsmith. His ancestors were settlers from Europe who settled in Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1722 and provided many of the muskets and rifles to colonists. So his family came over with these guns because they knew that the colonists needed them, to hunt for food and things like that. And so that's how they made their money.
Yeah.
They were gunsmiths. Rachel's family also had some manufacturing businesses, and she was able to acquire parcels of land, including one piece of land that is now known as Central Park.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. His family's very interesting.
Yeah.
So he didn't come from a dirt poor family. He didn't build up his wealth.
No.
He came from wealth.
Yeah, he came from money.
Yeah. Thomas's 2 older brothers took over their grandfather's locksmith business, and Thomas was sent to boarding school to obtain the best possible education. He then spent 2 years overseas in Europe. After he returned, he managed his father's affairs and his mother's rental properties, but decided to branch off into his own career, accepting a job offer with a shipbuilding company. So this is what brings him to San Diego.
Yeah.
So during this time, he was falling in love with a French girl named Anna Linné, who was 17 years old at the time. And I did the math, and he was probably about 24, 25.
Oh, okay. Not too much older.
No. And back in those days, it was. While sitting at his desk in 1848, he was reading an article about gold in California. That is when he decided he needed to go. His company was thinking about expanding to San Francisco, California, and he was offered the chance to go with his company. So on January 1st, 1849, Thomas boarded a ship for a 204-day trip from New York to San Francisco. It was not a smooth ride. And
thank you. No, thank you.
And they actually talk about it, that there was a lot of scuffles on board. The captain fighting with his first mate.
I'm just thinking about getting seasick.
Yeah, there was, and that too. And they talked about the rough seas and people getting sick. One guy actually shot himself because he couldn't take it anymore. I mean, there's a whole story.
That's like a long time.
Because Thomas Whaley actually kept, and if I were to read through this, it would take us 2 or 3 episodes and I'd bore you to death. But if you are interested in history, he actually kept a really good journal of his days at sea and him writing letters and to his mom and things like that. So there's a lot of
that
record.
would be interesting.
Yeah, it was. So he did eventually make it to San Francisco on July 22nd, 1849. By April 1851, he had become a very successful businessman in San Francisco and built a 2-story home with a balcony overlooking the bay, and had hoped that Anna would soon join him. He also invested in a side venture with a lawyer named Louis Franklin and his brother Maurice Franklin that were partners in a business in San Diego. So this is where he gets his tie to San Diego, because he starts investing in this business with these 2 Franklin brothers. He's still working for his company, but he was doing like these side businesses.
Side jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
Yeah. He was a very smart guy. Like, he'd buy stuff, sell stuff. He had these stores. He was setting up these stores in San Francisco. So on May 3rd, though, in 1851, a fire broke out in San Francisco and destroyed 20 city blocks. I always heard about the Great Fire in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. That happened in 1909, because I actually looked it up because I was like, is this the Great Fire? Mm-hmm. But there were so many fires in San Francisco. They had them all the time. Like, this time there was already like 7 that had happened.
What was the episode we did way back in the beginning? Was it in Nevada? In Goldfield? That they had that big explosion and like it was
the
like
mine.
Yeah. It was like how many city blocks? Like
fires were very common. Mm-hmm. And in San Francisco, because there wasn't a lot of land and they built the homes real close to each other, and the floors were wood plank sidewalks. That one building caught on fire, it would just catch rows on them on fire. Yeah, it would just spread so fast. So at this time, it destroyed 20 city blocks. At least 1,000 homes burned to the ground due to the wood plank walkways and wooden structures situated very close to one another. Thomas's businesses burned in the fire as well. It's funny because you'll hear a lot about him being successful and then something happening, but he was always working hard.
Yeah.
Like, he always tried to make up for his losses.
Right.
He also received news that Anna's mother would not let her come to San Francisco to be with them. So he decided to go to San Diego, where the Franklin brothers had done very well with his investment, because he was sending for Anna, but the mom would not let her come. On October 4th, 1851, Thomas arrived in San Diego. He fell in love with it immediately and its climate. He said it was very similar to Italy. Now, remember, he spent 2 years in Europe, so
Yeah.
he wrote a letter to Anna telling her how much healthier it is in San Diego. There were less people than San Francisco, and he lived in a part of San Diego called Old Town. Lewis Franklin had set up a store in a residence that was the best in town, and Thomas was very happy there. He started to learn Spanish so he can conduct business with the natives. By 1853, Thomas had enough money and his business was doing so well in San Diego that he went back to New York City to marry Anna. So he actually went over there. And it's really nice because you look at the timeline, it's 4 years and he's still
I was going to say, and she's a little older now. And
yeah, they didn't get married. It's like she was 21. So on August 14th, 1853, they got married in New York City and she returned him to San Diego. On December 28th, 1854, their first son was born named Francis Hinton. He was actually named after his business partner, one of his business partners. Their second son, Thomas Whaley Jr., was born in August 1856. The Whaley House was completed in 1857, but soon after tragedy struck. Thomas Whaley Jr. contracted scarlet fever and died on January 29, 1858, at just 17 months old in the upstairs bedroom of the Whaley House.
Yes.
And we got to see that.
We did.
The baby's room.
Yeah.
On June 27th, 1858, their daughter Anna Amelia Whaley was born. But in the early morning hours of August 21st, 1858, Thomas was awoken up to find that his store was on fire. Too late and too dangerous to save anything in the store, Thomas and Anna decided that it was a good time to leave San Diego and return to San Francisco. The loss of their son and now the fire was weighing heavily on them. So they were like done with San Diego at that point. Yeah. It was just, like I said, one thing after the next. They would have a blessing and then a tragedy. Yeah. It was kind of sad.
Yeah, that is sad, especially for somebody who works so hard.
Yeah. Living in San Francisco, the Whaleys had 3 more children. George Hay Ringgold, born November 5th, 1860. Violet Eloise, born October 4th, 1862. And Corianne Lillian, born September 4th, 1864. Whaley had a partner assisting him with his business affairs in San Diego while they stayed in San Francisco. By 1867, Whaley was elected to the council at Sitka, Alaska, to set up stores and establish a base.
He's all over the place.
He is.
That's crazy.
He traveled everywhere. In the meantime, his children and wife stayed in San Francisco. Over the course of the next 10 years, Thomas invested in a stock that proved to be financially beneficial. With his affairs in orders, and he and the family established and, have their money together, they moved back to San Diego to attempt to repair what was ruined by the fire many years prior. So this is when they go with all the children again.
So did the house just sit there?
It did no, he had a guy running his business affairs there, and they got it back into he got it up to, where they can still have the store working out of it, things like that. But it wasn't, what it is today.
Right.
So he ended up going back and he ended up repairing and remodeling a lot of the home because it did just sit for 10 years, but he had the guy helping to maintain it. I would just say basically just maintain it. Yeah. And so he needed to remodel it to accommodate the additional children. The house was built over a burial ground in addition to hangings that were held on the property before Thomas Whaley purchased it.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about one of these hangings.
Yes, we are.
Because it's interesting but sad at the same time.
It's very sad. Especially the way this guy went. Not that any hanging is a good way to go, but this was
a quick hanging would be the best way to go.
Yes, and this was not so quick.
No.
One known criminal who was hanged on the property was a man named James Yankee Jim Robinson. He was known for his lawless and violent behavior. He was born in 1810 in New York, but eventually made his way out west. He would hang out around the mining camps in the San Francisco area, and would wait for an opportunity to murder and rob miners of their golden trinkets. Wow. He eventually made his way south to San Diego, where he and 2 other companions stole a boat from the harbor in 1852. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to steal a boat. A few days later, the boat was found washed up on the shore a few miles down. The 3 men were arrested and arraigned for the Court of Sessions on the charges for grand larceny. The 2 men who he stole the boat from actually sat on the jury.
Can you believe
Very
that?
interesting.
And he actually didn't think that they were, because, well, you'll see, but they, like, he actually did not protest this. Like,
Yeah.
he was fine with them sitting on the jury.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because the boat was found safely, Jim did not believe that they would give him death for his crime. However, Yankee Jim was sentenced to death by hanging. On September 18th, 1852, Yankee Jim was taken out to the gallows in a wagon that was pulled by mules. The gallows consisted of 2 beams planted in the ground with a heavy bar across the top. Yankee Jim was driven under the gallows where a rope was placed around his neck. Yankee Jim gave his farewell speech to the large crowd that had gathered to witness his execution.
Can you imagine? Like, they're like,
What are you
your-
supposed to say?
Your final words.
What
But they said, like, he was talking and talking, so that the sheriff was just like kind of growing a little impatient. But yeah,
Keep
he's
it
like
to a
giving
minimum,
us-
please,
yeah.
buddy. He talked to them about being a good man who gave away gold to the poor. Around 2:45 p.m., the sheriff ordered the wagon to pull away, and Jim hung on to the wagon with his feet as long as he could until they finally slipped off. Unfortunately, the person who measured the rope and the scaffolding did not take into account that Yankee Jim was 6 feet 4 inches tall, when the average man stood 5 feet 5 inches tall. So when the wagon pulled away, he could bounce up and down on his toes.
So like literally, like it pulled. He's hanging on. The wagon's dragging. He's hanging on by his toes.
Yeah,
and
he
he went down, and his toes would hit him, kind of like trying to bounce up, but he just started swinging.
Yeah, he's
Like-
he's never off the ground.
Yeah, like because normally, like you'd want, like ideally, I guess if you're being hanged, you
Yeah.
want your neck to break
Of course.
from the fall.
Yes.
It's not really the suffocation that suffocation.
Yeah.
The suffocation.
I was trying really hard because that's what they were saying that night.
That-
There,
the
they said
suffer-
suffocation, and I'm like, oh god.
Another Shannon. The suffocation is normally what doesn't kill you. It's normally
Yeah.
the break in the neck, right?
Yeah.
They normally don't want you to suffocate.
Yeah.
Why do I keep trying to say that word? Okay.
He swung back and forth like a pendulum until it took him 30 minutes to strangle to death. 30 minutes is a long time.
Some had
That's
it as
a
high,
sitcom.
some had it as high as 45 minutes.
I could watch a whole
Oh,
sitcom.
And he's still just hanging.
That's a
Yeah.
whole episode of Three's Company.
At that point, just pull out a gun and shoot him. Like, I don't know
come
why.
on.
Get him out of his
30
misery.
minutes.
Yeah.
Like, wow. His 2 accomplices were later tried, but only sentenced to 1 year in the state penitentiary. After that, they left and never returned to San Diego. Wow.
Okay, that does not make sense to me.
No,
Why
none
one man
whatsoever.
would get death.
Because they were probably like, we can't do this 2 more times.
I know. Thank you.
I can't do this
I
2 more
can't believe
times.
that they only got 1 year.
Yeah, that's
compared
crazy.
to like
Could you
death
ima-
in 1 year, and they
Mhm.
the same crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like our justice system right now.
Today.
So to pay tribute to Yankee Jim and where he was hung, Thomas Whaley created an archway that is 6 feet 4 inches tall that separates the parlor and the music room right in the spot where Jim was hung. Guests to the house have reported feeling tightness around their neck or seeing a red mark when passing through the archway.
Yeah, they were talking to us about that.
Yeah. So
How some men, right?
yeah, that they had, felt, which I don't.
Yeah, well, we got to talk
have
about
a-
our
I have
adventures.
I have a hard time. And again, like, I have to say this too before we get into anything. Like, I'm a skeptic. I'm skeptical about all of it. And I feel like so much stuff is real, but I feel like so much stuff is made up. And we saw that when we did this with some of the people that were there with us in our group, how quickly and easily they were swayed and led to believe something, and just the conversations that we heard amongst people. It's very interesting to see how people react to stuff like this.
Yeah. But I go back and forth. Like I'm like,
Oh, totally.
it's not real. Oh my gosh, what was that? Like, oh, it's not real.
No,
oh,
100%. Like 100%. I feel like some things that, I haven't experienced a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the things that I have experienced felt very, very real to me. But I feel like people who have an experience every time they go somewhere that is supposed to be haunted, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get behind it.
Yeah.
I can't. So, yeah. So there's that. So don't come at me because I'm skeptical about this stuff. I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that it's, people make it up or whatever. But
yeah, I just want authentic, legit.
there's got to be like a happy medium, in between like me and Zach Bagans. There's got to be like that middle point. So. Thomas Whaley leased the second floor of the house to a theater troupe run by Thomas W. Tanner for a $20 gold coin. Pretty cheap. The second, back then, that was probably a lot of money, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure.
The second floor has a theater, and it holds up to 150 people.
I couldn't believe it. Like,
I'm not sure how that happened.
We're going to have the
He
picture.
explained it, though, because he said that it kind of went out. Like they had balconies, like outside, like there was an outside area, but I still find that very hard to believe.
Like they would open up the windows. Yeah, it just
that place was small.
Yeah,
but what we have videos and pictures of all of this stuff that we'll put up. But
and I didn't really mention it here, but the Thomas Tanner actually died inside that home too. So just so you know, because that's one of the people they claim that still haunts the place because he actually died in a room adjacent to the theater.
Well, and when we say haunt too, like people automatically go to like a bad thing. Like we don't say haunt like
they're not evil.
Like it's not like this evil entity that's coming out of the walls. Like that's not what the thing, like people that take pictures have found shadows of, these people. It's not like, Yeah,
I have a coworker that I worked with at Starbucks, and I think I shared the story before, but she went to the Whaley House, and there's a picture, and when I show it to people at the Whaley House, they believe that might have been Tanner. So I will have that picture up too. Yeah. But it has the picture of her, and there's definitely something behind her in the mirror. 100%. And her daughter took the photo, and 100% she's legit. So so it's very there's a shadow there,
right? So, but I mean, when they talk about people haunting the place, like it's not always a bad thing. They're not bad spirits all the time. It's just, I think, a place that a lot of death occurred, and there's a lot of sadness there, and it's just kind of heavy there, I think, just because of the stuff that's taken place. And there's a lot of places like that. Yeah. There's a lot of places like that.
We talked about it before on a previous episode with when we went to the Aztec, how he really believes like history comes with hauntings.
Of course. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. It goes hand in hand with, just what you feel is left behind, because everything's energy.
Yeah. So it's not always a bad, scary, horror movie in the making. So this house also was once used as the county courthouse from 1869 to 1870. Oh, I didn't know it was only for a year.
Yeah, they actually leased it for 2 years. So it was supposed to be for 2 whole years.
Oh.
They actually leased it for.
Okay.
And to the county to use it as a courthouse. And actually the county actually tried to pull out sooner. They did. They said, you know what, we're not going to use it anymore for that. So we're going to pull back. And Thomas was a little upset with them because he's like, no, we had an agreement that you were going to pay for 2 full years. Right. And so he was writing letters and stuff trying to get them to pay, but they just wouldn't pay. Like as soon as they vacated it. So I don't actually know exactly how long they stayed, but I know the agreement was for 2 years. But it seems like somewhere in the records, it's stating that they did pull out a little bit early.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
So it was used from 1869 to 1870, and a large room to the left when you enter the house. And that's a pretty, I mean,
They call it like the annex room or
for a
something.
courtroom. No, it's not big.
No.
But for that house, it's a big area.
But it's as big as a courtroom at one of our courthouses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It actually
It had like the area where the jurors sit and the council, everything like it. It was very It
was very roomy.
Yeah, it's very cool in there.
Yeah, and they actually stored the documents there as well, like everything from the courthouse documents upstairs in those rooms as well. That the ones that Tanner leased. Mm-hmm. So after they left, like the courthouse would use it too.
Would use them.
Mm-hmm.
A heavy iron chain in the room has been seen swinging by itself, and several people have felt uneasy there. That was the one place where I didn't feel anything.
I didn't feel anything either, even though they were calling children into the room.
Yeah.
And I did a little children calling too, but
yeah, they called on Shannon because
I teach, but I don't teach little kids. So maybe that's where the disconnect was. They just said, who's a teacher? They didn't say who's an elementary school teacher. I would have definitely not have raised up my hand because that is not my forte. If they would have said like, do you need a sarcastic teenager to come out of the wall? I'm your person. You need a little kid to come towards me? Yeah, maybe not so much, but
yeah, but I think kids are drawn to you though. But
these weren't.
Yeah, these ones weren't, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I didn't want to take home a kid.
Well, I don't know. We might have taken something back to our hotel room. The hotel motel holiday.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that story after.
Yeah.
So in 1871, an angry mob held Anna Whaley at gunpoint on the 9th step of the stairs while public records were removed. So apparently, a lot of people feel things like when you walk up the steps and you're like on the 9th step,
like a really heavy feeling. I think.
I don't know. Yeah,
they lose their breath.
Yeah,
because I think she was startled there too. I think.
Yeah.
And Thomas was away at the time that this happened. That they held her at gunpoint, but they wanted to remove the records from there, and so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't think San Diego was kind of lawless back in this day, in this time. But I think
I think everywhere was.
States,
We've talked about so many places back during this same time period. Like a lot of the places that we visited in Wyoming and that we talked about, a lot of the stories were back in the mid to late 1800s. And I feel like they were all unruly then, you know? They were just all running amok everywhere. So
there wasn't a police force.
No, not at all. So Thomas Whaley was out of town at the time. A chill in the air is reported there. The ghost of Thomas Whaley has been seen on the second floor landing dressed in a black coat and a white brim hat. Shortly after, the family moved to Newtown, San Diego, hoping for a fresh start. But his enterprises did not prosper. The family moved back to New York so he could settle his father's estate. He did not return to San Diego until 1879. So that's... Again, a good chunk of time that he was
gone.
Gone for.
It seems like they moved back and forth a lot.
In 1882, Anna Whaley married John T. Whaley, who is her first cousin.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there wasn't many fish in the sea.
Not a lot of people to choose from.
But man, your first cousin?
Yeah, she didn't have to change her last name though.
Yeah, easy. There you go.
Why
right? Not? Okay. So,
save money on the paperwork.
Seriously. Oh God, you don't have to stand in the line at the Social Security office and
nothing.
Oh God. And then Violet also got married, and she married a man by the name of George T. Bertolacci. But just 2 weeks into Violet's marriage, she awoke one morning during their extended honeymoon to find that her husband had left. Wow, he dipped out quick.
He did.
It turns out Bertolacci was a con artist who only married Violet in hopes of securing some of the Whaley family fortune upon their marriage. What a douche.
Thank you. But he only waited 2 weeks to get the fortune. Like, how fast was this fortune supposed to come? Yeah, what do you think?
I was going to say, he didn't give him much time.
You know.
Jeez, he wanted to collect right now. Oh, God. When this didn't come to fruition, he bolted, leaving Violet alone and beside herself. During these times, society tended to shun women who returned home without their husbands, as it was something that 19th century ladies simply did not do. The divorce took almost a year to finalize, and Violet never recovered from the shame. At the age of 22, she shot herself in the chest with a .32 caliber. She left a suicide note that quoted a poem by Thomas Hood. Another Whaley daughter, Corinne.
Yeah.
Another Whaley daughter, Corinne, was engaged to be married at the time of Violet's death, but her fiancé broke off the marriage due to the scandal that the suicide caused the family. After such tragic events, Thomas built the family a new home not far from the Whaley house, leaving the original home vacant for nearly 2 decades. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Well, that really shook some shit up.
Yeah. I mean, and Violet, she died right there in the home, in the parlor room that we visited.
Yes.
In her father's arms. You know, so, because they heard the shot and they ran to her.
Right. So. And they have a couch there. It's not the couch that she died on, but it's, you know,
similar,
a couch that is similar to the one that she died on. And they have everything decorated pretty on point for, you know, they have a lot of actual stuff that
was in the home
at the time. Yes. And then there are some replicas. So
yes,
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful house.
Yeah. They preserved it very well.
Yes.
And they actually have, artifacts there that you can see and visit. And it's kind of cool because you can actually walk up to a lot of the stuff. Like a lot of museums will put
they let
chains
touch.
Let you go in,
this is like
they let you go into the home.
Yes, it's their
lay stuff on, like at least during the paranormal investigation, we can lay some of the stuff on, you know, on some of the investigative equipment.
Yeah, it wasn't like don't sit in this chair, don't touch this.
Well, a lot of the furniture they didn't want us to sit in, but we could sit on the ground. We can.
Yeah. I mean, our asses probably would have broke those little chairs because people were much smaller back then.
So. They were so small back then.
Yeah, the doorways, everything.
Handles were like.
I remember we found that at the Mission Inn too. Yeah, they were like so little, but like
the door frames
everything
are so small, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So on December 14th, 1890, Thomas Whaley passed away while serving as city clerk and notary public for the county. In the years to follow, the Whaley house fell into disrepair. It wasn't until 1909 that Thomas Whaley's son Francis took on the massive undertaking of restoring the Whaley homestead. Instead of making it his home, Francis took this opportunity to turn the restoration into a tourist attraction, promoting its history while entertaining guests with his guitar. The remaining surviving Whaley family, Anna Whaley, Thomas's widow, Corinne Lillian, Francis, and George, all lived in the original Whaley house until their deaths.
Yeah, so they actually eventually returned back to it.
So
yeah. So like I said, a lot of tragedy happened in this home, but then a lot of good stuff happened as well. So it's like always happy tragedy.
But I think so much tragedy happened just in that area before that house was even there.
Yeah.
It's just so much took place there.
At one point, even when I was reading about it, it was talking about like, oh, the reign of terror in Old Town San Diego. But anytime I would look that up, they'd like talk about like true reign of terrors and like, you know, in England and, you know,
right.
So I just couldn't really find too much on it. I didn't know if they were being exaggerative in the one article I was reading. But, and I'll actually show you, they actually have articles about Jim's hanging and, you know, so, but I wanted to kind of like talk with you and share with everybody about kind of like what we did when we got there to the Whaley house, how when we got to the paranormal investigation, how we started off in this one room and they talked to us about the equipment that we were going to use.
Right.
And they actually put up some equipment that they said like would signal like if there was something coming through.
Right.
So the little house we started off at, I don't know
like what that was.
House. Yeah, they never even really told us about the house.
They never told us the history.
I think it was somebody. I think they kind of mentioned briefly. It was somebody else's house that's behind the property,
right?
But that you start off in. But they had this device set up in the corner that would go off every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so I have a little bit of recording of that because I would get excited because I'm like, oh, are we actually going to see something, feel something? I was really disappointed that we didn't get to tour that house.
I know.
Go upstairs in that house or whatever.
I really wanted to.
Yeah, I thought like
That
oh,
place
coming through
seemed
this.
way creepy.
Thank you. That seemed creepier than the actual Whaley house.
Yes.
So, but the two guys who did the tour, very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. But they're there to give everybody an experience.
Yes. They are.
So it was a little bit of a show, I would think.
I think that, and this is another reason why, like, I've said it so many times before that I don't want to do a paid tour. I don't want you to give me an experience. I'm not going to pay to have an experience.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere on my own. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not there summoning evil to come, but I'm just, you know, whatever happens, happens. If I take a picture and I get something, cool. If I don't, then I don't. But like, the only way for us to get into that house and to see the things that we saw was to do this paranormal investigation.
Yeah. And
it was very, very cool because they gave us a lot of history and a lot of background. However, it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah. They want you to have an experience
They
because
want
they want
you
you
to have an experience.
Yeah, because nobody's going to go if nobody has an experience.
Yeah.
But afterwards, they let us into the Whaley home. So we went into the courthouse.
Yes.
And so they put up that grid.
The portal.
The portal, yes, where all
to
the
another
spirits
dimension.
come, where all the spirits come through the portal. And they call on me, like we talked about, to talk to the children and stuff. But they use the spirit box. I'm going to attempt this again. But the spirit box, all you hear out of the, and no offense to people who actually use this and can actually understand
but we've
it.
never been on the receiving end of that.
We've never really heard it, right?
Because that was my big question. If you guys remember back in one of our earlier episodes when we did it on the Frontier Prison, when we went along with Paranormal Peeps and somebody was sitting on the ground and had headphones on and they were noise canceling headphones and was listening to this mess of shit just coming through. Like, that's literally what you hear. And then they're just like,
that's it,
shouting out words or phrases or whatever.
Anna Whaley, are you in the room with us? Anna, are you with us? Anna, are you with us? Did you hear her? Mm-hmm. Thomas, are you with us tonight? Thomas, are you with us? Do we have any children that are coming through the portal? Children? It's okay to come out and play. Would you like to say hello to the women that are in the room? Children? Did you hear the little girl? Children, it's okay to come out and play. You can already hear that the spirits are talking with one another. And that's what can get a bit confusing. They do a lot of crosstalk. Yankee Jim, are you in the room with us? Yankee Jim, are you with us? Do we have one of the judges that presided in court? Are you with us?
He's doing the talk to the children. You hear, oh, did you hear the girl?
And then so many people were like, oh, I heard this. I heard that. And I'm like, I didn't hear shit.
All I'm hearing is static. Well, I did like a couple times like, oh, that did sound like a girl's voice, or that sounded like a voice, but it's only because it was a sound that was a little bit higher pitched or a little bit different.
Sounded like George Jetson.
It was like, we have the video. We are going to play that video for you. But it's like, it's crazy. Like
It's just funny to me how they, you know, they suck all these people in and they're like, oh my God, did you hear that? It said Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my God, I heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it. Like, it's just crazy how many people like
and
go along with all of it. And we're just looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like, okay.
But there is a couple times when I'm like, oh, I heard a girl. But me, I never really heard what they said. I'm just like, oh, I hear a girl's voice.
You hear a voice. But it just it sounds like you're listening to the radio on the most staticky station that's like you're in Turkey trying to listen to Kiss FM. Like that's exactly what it sounds like. It's just
crazy.
Yeah. It's
so yeah. So at this time they introduced all this stuff to us afterwards and they said, you know what, you guys have at it. You guys can pick what you want to use and go off into the rooms. So we decided we want to get the one where the headphone.
We wanted that one.
We're like, we are getting online for this one because we want to be able to. And
I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, and they'll let you go to any room you want to. Well, they kind of at first they escorted us around to all the rooms, explained all the rooms.
But take a look at the furniture. Look how tiny it is. Yeah. Anna Whaley stood 4 feet 9 inches. She was a very petite French woman. Here on the wall, this is a photo of Anna either shortly before she married Thomas or just a little bit after she married Thomas. Thomas stood 5 feet 3 inches, by the way. So this family was quite tiny. This is the master bedroom. Anna Whaley's spirit is the most prominent spirit here in the room. So as you conduct your investigations, this is where you can have a one-on-one with Anna Whaley. This is the room that Violet was placed on suicide watch for that year and a half. So Violet's spirit also is discovered here in this room. On this desk here are some letters that are penned with Anna Whaley's handwriting.
And then let us go.
And I have to say, in one of the rooms, I don't want to forget to mention it because we have a really good video. They take us up to the theater room upstairs.
Yes.
And I'm recording and you pass by the kids' room where looking back, Gina and I, we're going to put up photos for you. We're going to show you what we see. And, please write your opinion, what you think it is.
Yeah.
But in the kids' room, you see a woman's figure in one of our pictures wearing a white dress. I first was attracted to the pirate that was next to her. You will see the picture. I'm just like, at first I zoomed in. I'm like, what is this funky face in the glass? But then when you look to the left of it, there's like this woman standing there. And it's kind of higher up on the reflection. So it's not coming from us. There's nothing in the room that would be reflecting this. Right. But you see it in there. So we have that up for you. And then we're kind of go around to the theater room where one of the guys is talking, he's giving us the tour of it and telling us the history in this room. And again, as I'm taking pictures and video, I'm looking for stuff. I'm like, wanting to find stuff. And he does explain something to us where after you record, they can manipulate the videos or things like that. That's kind of what he tells us, So make sure you go back and you look at your photos because you might not.
You're not going to see it in real time.
You won't see it now, but you might see it when you go back. So, which I thought was a bunch of baloney, but it turns out it might be a little bit true.
Yeah.
Because I took video of us in this theater room and I'm having the video up here as I'm explaining it, but there is a what we would call an orb, but it's a light. And I actually went and I clipped the video because it's a really long video, but before it, and maybe I'll give you the longer clip, but before it, I tried to go back to see if anybody had a light source behind me, but me and Gina were everybody else was already sitting down.
And this is a very small room. This room is very small.
And it's dark.
And very dark.
There's no...
You'll see in the video, it's very, very dark.
Very dark. And you see this light that just kind of comes up into the frame. And I probably wouldn't have thought much of it until...
It's very noticeable, though.
Yeah. You see it, it comes in. But the funny thing is, it goes around... There's a young boy there. He's 13 years old because I had asked him his age because there were some devices that were reacting to him being around. But I thought maybe because of his age and closer to the kids, the ghost kids. So he's 13 years old. And it goes kind of up behind him. And it's kind of goes like this, and it goes near his head, and you'll see it. And he actually turns as if somebody touches him. Like he actually reacts to this light source, and he looks around, and
it's almost like he felt something or he heard something, and he turns around, and you can see, and then he just is like, "What's happening?" And then he turns back.
And now when we go on those, I think what we need to do is we need to get people's information
so in
case we
contact
ever
them.
It like for situations like this, I want to ask him what he felt.
What did you feel? Yeah.
Or did you hear anything at that time? Because you'll see in the video.
Yeah, it's very obvious that he's reacting to something.
To this thing around
and
his face.
Like where he's looking is right where that thing is at.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Right there. And it's not like he sees anything. He just kind of looks like confused. And then he just continues to listen to the guy talking. And if I would have known that it was there, I would have kept recording. But dumb me, I sit down and I stop the recording at that time because I'm going to listen to the guy.
Yeah.
But it actually, you see it like kind of land on his shoulder. And I thought that was interesting. That's got
very
me
interesting.
questioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So please leave comments on what you think that is.
Yeah, definitely. And we can put those up on TikTok and Instagram too. So you guys can see that too. But so we did, it wasn't all like a bad situation.
No.
We did and we took so many pictures and so much video and stuff like that, but we did have another incident that we were in the parlor.
Yes,
where Violet died. And
it's attached to the music room.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we were, we had the device that we were, I was listening. I had the headphones on. Shannon was asking questions, and I couldn't hear anything. She sent me the video last night of it, and I was like, because it's dark in there, so I wasn't sure where we were. And I could hear her talking, and I'm like, I don't even remember this because I didn't hear you say it because I had the headphones on. Yeah. So my question was always like, are those really noise canceling and like whatever? The ones that we had on, I couldn't hear anything. I literally couldn't hear a peep. I couldn't hear
all
her
the
talking.
static in your ear.
Yes. So all I could hear was, I literally couldn't. I didn't even say one word because I couldn't make out a word. Yeah, there was nothing I could make out.
She was just sitting there quiet, and I was like asking questions to Violet, and it's funny because I'm like, Violet, are you here? And I'll have the video, but there's one point where I ask a very specific, and I don't know how this machine works, so I don't know if it's supposed to make noises when something comes near it.
Right.
I don't know how. So if somebody knows how these machine works, but I never heard it make a noise before. It's just supposed to be making noises in her ears, right? Mm-hmm. So I asked, are there too many people here?
You say something about, is it too loud in here?
Is it too loud in here? Or are there too many people for you here? Or is it too loud? And all of a sudden the machine just starts going beep, 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 beep. And I was like, what is that? Like it went like
And
off.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is that? And I'm like recording it. And so if you know how this machine works, or if it's just, it does that because of some reason, I was supposed to push a button to make it stop. I don't know. Tell me. But that was the extent of
I didn't
knowledge,
think that device was supposed to make any noise. I thought I was just supposed to hear whatever was transpiring.
When they used it in the gel, That didn't go off.
No.
Yeah.
Hi, Violet. Are you here with us today? Is anyone here with us today? Who's here with us?
So, ever want to go on a, yeah, it's like,
Maybe it's too loud for you right now. Is there too many people here? I don't know what that means. Does that mean somebody's near here?
Yeah, it was like really weird. It went off really loud.
Yeah.
So we have video of that. So please, let us know what you think that might be.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
And in the music parlor, I wanted to mention, because we watch some YouTubers, Sam and Colby, who visited the home. And the reason why I wanted to watch it too is because my coworker at Starbucks, they also used her photo for their episode. So I wanted to see where they used it. Did you ever see?
I didn't.
Did you go through the whole thing?
I didn't. I made it almost to the end, but I didn't. Yeah.
I never saw it. So maybe it's a different episode.
Maybe.
I got to reach out to her. But anyways, so I was watching that one. But some of the stories they tell us, it's funny because it's the same stories they're kind of telling them. So some of it, I think, like, are they setting us up? So it's about this clock in the music room that supposedly doesn't go off for anybody.
Yeah.
Never goes off, but it didn't go off for us, I have to say. But
it didn't.
No. But
they told us that just like a week prior it went off for the first time ever, like forever. It doesn't, supposedly it doesn't have the mechanism. It doesn't have whatever.
It's not battery powered. It's
not powered by battery, but it doesn't have it does not have whatever it takes for a clock to tick, whatever that mechanism is. It doesn't have one. So the clock should not be able to make that noise.
To tick.
And so apparently it does.
Apparently he made it tick when he was there another time, and then when they were in the home, it did it again.
Right.
We never heard it.
No.
But, the music room, it is known to have turn of the century songs come on, laughter's heard, and the smell of cigar and the smell of perfume, which quickly disappear. A lamp in the music room has a couple of crystals that hang off the lamp that have been seen moving while others are motionless. But what was hard, because a couple of the things I've read, they're like, oh, the lights tend to flicker and they can't fix it. I think that's a gimmick. I think the flickering lights is something that they have happen, right? Or is it?
Well, they have the whole, the house is dark. They have all the lights out.
It's a kerosene light. So do they tend to flicker?
Yeah. I mean, that's how all the lights are in the house. So they're setting the mood for you, basically, so you go in and it's dark.
I wonder if kerosene lamps naturally flicker. Probably. That's probably why.
Yeah. Because every light in there flickered.
Because it says electric lights in the house go on and off by themselves, but
it did that the whole time.
So I felt like, it was a gimmick. So,
well, I mean,
I don't know.
Again, I think a lot of this stuff is staged.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, don't let this detour you from going by any means.
Fun. Recommend it 110%.
Recommend going.
Yeah.
Just don't believe everything.
Yeah.
Don't psych yourself out.
They also say there's a little ghost girl that they believe is the daughter of Anna Whaley, which is really sad too, because the granddaughter would go there and visit her grandmother, Anna, in the home. And Kellogg used to make this ant paste poison with honey to attract the ants. And she found one out in the yard and ate it.
Yep.
And got sick and died. So they believe that she haunts the home. And then also at night, there's a figure that's been seen peering out of the upstairs window when everyone has gone home for the day. We've took plenty of pictures.
Yeah.
Didn't get it.
No.
Things that are reported upstairs are curtains in many of the rooms move by themselves when the windows are closed. Bed and pillows have shown impressions of someone having laid there, even though visitors cannot gain access to the rooms. But that's not true, because we could, if you're in certain tour groups, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A rocking chair has been seen rocking on its own. We saw the rocking chair, but it didn't rock.
No.
And I wanted to talk about
our experience
with the. We have two.
Yeah. So the first one is the device that we were using is called the thermometer, I believe, or it's I don't know. I think that's what it's called. I could be totally wrong, but basically it's gauged off temperature. So when you can see, it's like kind of like looking at like through a night vision camera.
Yeah.
So if a body is standing in front of you, it senses the heat, and so you see like the outline. So if I'm holding it right here in front of me and Shannon's standing in front of me, I can see the outline of her body in red.
Yeah.
So everywhere that you see like these red spots, they're saying like, there's something there.
Yeah.
And the house is extremely, extremely cold inside.
Yeah.
So
which is funny because it's not air conditioned.
It's not air conditioned, no.
But yeah.
No. And so Shannon and I were in the parlor, and
we had sat down because we were doing the little voice thing, and I actually tried to listen to it too.
Yeah, we were there for a while because I tried it, Shannon tried it.
Nothing made sense.
And
we gave up on it.
So we were sitting there, then we went back to the courtroom where we turned in the whatever that device was, and we got this thermometer thing. So we go back into the parlor, and we are just kind of sitting there for a couple minutes, and I'm just holding it, kind of
trying to figure out
what I'm looking at, what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I'm like, okay, I think like, I kind of like pointed it towards Shannon. So I was like, okay, I get it. So like, yeah, so you can see the outline of her body and everything. So then, we're sitting there, and I was like, Shannon, what's that on the floor? There's, a couple marks on the floor. And I was like, oh my God. So we sat there actually for like, and she's recording as I'm holding it. Yeah. And we're like, oh man, like that's crazy. That's crazy. Like we're tripping out.
Yeah. So you see it up on the couch too.
Yeah. There's like a mark on the couch. There's, and mind you, this is where Violet died right there. So
we want to call the guy over.
Yeah. So we call the guy over who's the head of the tour thing or whatever, and we're like, hey, like, can you tell us like seeing? What we're looking at? Like we don't know what we're doing. And so he's kind of like, oh man, like yeah, that's definitely something
on a heat source, although there's no heaters down there.
No, and what's funny is that we were sitting on the ground, but that can't still be from our...
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, because we sat there about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah, that it would have cooled off by then.
What's that?
That's what I was saying. Do you see it?
See that right there?
Mm-hmm. Might want to take a photo of that.
So he starts I can't even.
But I asked him, and I straight up asked him, I said, but we were sitting there earlier. Do you think it's from our sitting there? He's like, oh, it's really cold in this house. How long ago? And I'm like, about 5-10 minutes ago. He's like, oh yeah, no. And we're even like, yeah, no, 10 minutes. Like it's cold here. Like there's no way our markings or anything. So we're like,
yeah. And then he starts to talk to Violet, and he's like, Violet, if you're here, like make yourself be known, or I don't know, whatever he was saying. He's, trying to call Violet,
doing his thing
to whatever. Yeah. He's doing his thing or whatever. And he has us thoroughly convinced that we have found something.
Yeah, we're like there for like a good 5 minutes, looking at a curtain, waiting for the curtain to open and move.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're like, oh my God, we got something.
Yeah.
What are these things that are jumping around on here?
Yeah. Now this is going to be your baseline, the one in the center there.
Okay.
But this is going to pick up on, and these things will also pick up on anything that might be considered an orb.
Okay.
So it's going to pick up on any kind of a movement in which the spirits are doing. So it looks like that it's zoning in right where the curtain is.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that mean something's there?
Absolutely.
The blue line means something's there? Oh, so maybe there's two figures standing?
Absolutely.
Because that's why there's two heat sources.
Because it looks like there's like two, like almost feet marks.
Feet marks, right?
Yeah.
Violet, is that you? Violet, are you in this room?
We heard when we had the thing on, but it was really hard for us to listen and figure out what they were saying. But distinctly a man and woman's voice. Yeah, we were testing it to see if somebody was there, but
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was still working. Obviously, it's might even be picking up on a movement on the curtains. A few nights ago, they could see that the curtains were beginning to like get wider, as if someone was coming through there.
So let's go upstairs.
So we go upstairs.
We're really excited about this device.
This is it. This is our device. Like this is
the
like,
one that's
this is the one that's gonna
summoning.
We're gonna get everybody. We're gonna meet everybody, right? In the Whaley house. We're gonna meet them all.
This is when we become believers.
Yeah. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I believe. So we go up the steps and I'm not making fun of. I'm not talking smack. Like I'm really not. But this was funny. We literally laughed so hard. Like we're such idiots. So, all those people that we talk trash on, like we turned into those people.
We were totally.
We were those people.
We were them. Yeah.
We were them.
We're like, yes.
So we go upstairs and we're like, okay, we're going to do this again.
We're going to go. Oh, and we went into the room that Anna Whaley's bedroom.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yes.
So we're there. And
the same room that Tanner died in as well.
Correct.
So
we're there in the room and I'm like shining the light and Shannon's standing in front of me. And again, so I'm like, I'm not getting anything. And then Shannon moves out of the way. And I'm
you
just kind of
decided
like
to sit down.
I did. I was sitting on the floor.
She decided to sit on the carpet because that's where we can sit.
And so I was just kind of moving it around, and then all of a sudden,
but we did get something from the fireplace. Like for some reason, it's showing heat signature out of the fireplace.
It did, and it did it in 2 different rooms.
Yeah, it's weird.
And
out of the fireplaces,
and they're not working fireplaces, so it's not like there was a fire lit there or anything. So I look and I'm like, Shannon, there's like footprints. There's like footprints right here.
But that's
and she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, there's footprints right here. So she comes over and she looks and she's like, that's kind of like the area where I was standing.
Yeah,
do you think? And I was like, oh, I'm like, I don't know.
Like she's also stepped back.
So she stepped back and you can see. So then I stand up.
The brightest ass spot you have ever seen. Gina, I'm just going to say, has a fucking hot ass. Hot ass. I'm just going to throw it out there. She's got a hot ass. It was freezing in that house.
It was the funniest thing in the world. It was like
literally like
the perfect outline of my butt.
A peach.
It was the funniest thing ever. We literally started laughing so hard. We were like,
and that thing was so bright that we know that the other spot, it was our asses.
It was
that
where
we were staring at for 5 minutes in the parlor.
And he's over there summoning Violet to come. Violet, if you're here, let yourself be known to these idiot broads.
To these idiot broads who are totally buying that their ass is a spirit. So we stared at an ass for 5 minutes.
And then it was even on the couch.
And I even said like, oh,
and I remember specifically because, you know, like I'm old. And so it's hard for me to sit down. And I remember leaning back on the couch and when I sat on the floor.
girl.
So I
Yeah.
touched the couch.
So it was our hate signatures we were staring at we did about 15, 20 minutes. After we realized that, we said, let's take this shit back. We're dropping it back off. We're done. We're done with this. So after that, we were kind of like walking around being a fool because we just thought like, this is just a joke. Like we can't take this seriously.
It was the funniest
then
shit ever.
He reeled us back in again.
He did, because we went back to the
Went to the
theater again, and
we decided to do. He had the dowsing rods up there.
and he was just in there by himself.
Yeah.
And we didn't tell him about.
No,
We didn't say anything, you know, like, oh, we figured this all out.
no. We'll let him tell our story about the two spirits sitting there.
So we didn't.
Our asses are going to be in the next paranormal investigation story. I'm just saying.
I really hope so. I think it'd be hilarious. So anyway, he was like, oh, have you gotten a hug from Violet? And we're like, no, we haven't. And so he said, here, and he hands us the dowsing rods.
Never used them before.
Yeah, I've seen them used, but I've never used them myself. And so Shannon used them first.
Tanner, would you like to give this young lady a hug?
I feel like there's something happening at the end, but
Oh, okay.
there, look at that. It's
There we go.
oh,
There
oh.
we go. There, it's moving.
Okay, so it
Okay.
isn't me. It isn't. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for not making.
Do you want to give her a full hug?
Ooh.
You're almost there. You're almost there.
There.
Okay, bring your left arm down just a tad. There we go. Okay.
Oh.
Almost. There we go. So, okay.
That's so weird.
Move the other rod. If you can touch her chin with the other rod.
Oh.
There we go.
Well, hello there.
Anna, is that you? Anna? Anna, you can reopen the rods now and give her a full arm hug.
What's a full arm hug?
That's where she takes both of. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Anna, you're almost there, honey. There we go. She's gonna give you a kiss on the cheek.
What?
Yeah. See the rod? Came all the way around. She gave you a little kiss on your cheek.
Yay, thank you.
And she was kind of using them incorrectly a little bit.
My fingers were up too high that if they wanted to move,
They couldn't.
So I realized that after about, takes me about a minute or two because I'm a little slow. So then I redo it. It's a very different feeling.
Yes.
That I'm like,
that I don't know exactly what they are made of. I mean, I know some of them are copper, but
I don't know what's
it's a very
moving them.
strange feeling because every time that I have seen people use them, I always feel like
They're
moving them. But they're honestly, I'm not sure if there's a way that you can actually manipulate them.
Yeah, if you're just sitting
sitting there. And I guess when you do it yourself, you're not moving. So when they move, it's almost like somebody was moving it from the other end.
Yeah, you don't feel it from where you're holding it. You feel almost a pull or a tug.
Mm-hmm. Like somebody standing across from you and just moving it.
Yeah.
It's a very different feeling.
That's what I was telling Gina when I was using it. I said, it feels really weird when it finally, like on me, it takes a while to work because I tell spirits, don't visit me, don't follow me, don't do anything with me, don't scare the shit out of me. So I feel like they don't come to me as easily as they would come to other people. But I stand there and it took a while. Yeah. But after a while, when it started moving, like I'm just standing there and I'm like, I told him.
And it wasn't just like a little, like this thing was like moving. They swing.
Yeah. And you're like standing there just in like, it'll say like, close it and they'll close. I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking about it being like, I was trying not to think about it closing. Like, don't think about it. because part of me thinks sometimes like, but I have played with an Ouija board and I've told my stories about my Ouija board experience. So I honestly don't think that I manipulated an Ouija board either. So
Right.
I'm thinking it kind of felt kind of like that
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
where I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Right.
And so, but on an Ouija board, I've never done it alone, I have to say.
Mhm.
So I never know what another person may be doing.
Right.
This time I'm holding it
By
myself.
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you did it,
I did it by myself, obviously.
And how did you feel?
It was, it was very strange. It was a very strange feeling. And, you know, I didn't move them. And you can feel it's like energy.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. Release your thumbs. All right. Which spirit would like to give this young lady a hug? Who's going to give this young lady a hug?
They're gonna go running to it. All of them.
There we go.
Oh my.
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
Gina, I'm telling you, none of them. They're like they weren't sure about me, but they're like all over you.
There we go. All right. Whichever spirit this is, would you reopen the rods for us, please? Would you bring the rods back to the neutral position, please? Violet, is this you?
They said no, we're staying with the hugs.
Right. Yeah, some nights the spirits just like to give hugs.
Yeah, they're not letting go, Gina. No. Oh hell no, you're not coming back with me. I'm sorry, I'm leaving you here. They're not gonna let you go.
Oh yeah, so that rod is touching that arm there.
Yeah. It just moved.
Mm-hmm. There we go. So bring this rod up a little bit higher past your fingers. And there it is. She's going to give you a full arm hug now. There it is. Nicely done. And if that was you, thank you so much.
I think it was Tanner.
Could be Tanner, right?
I think so. I feel like Gina's a Tanner's type.
You
think?
Tanner, you rascal. He loves having women in the house.
Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that.
Oh, yeah, look.
See, do you feel it? Like, how weird that is, huh?
If this is one of the actors or actresses that had performed in this theater, would you take the rods and cross them for yes, please?
Oh, there it goes.
And I didn't feel like they were wanting to hug us.
No, it's just move. That's
I
what
felt
he
like,
was calling it.
Yeah,
Like,
but and when he tried to say like, oh, who's here? It was definitely was not Violet or Tanner or anybody else.
No.
It was just random spirits. And that's the thing about like, if I'm going to say my, like what I believe, like if I'm really going to like buy into this and what I've said in the past, and I go back and forth, you know, it's really hard for me. 'Cause I've had some experiences, but then, you know, you question yourself. But if I were to say anything, I think a lot of times the people you want to come through aren't the ones that are coming through.
yeah,
I just think it's random shit out there, and it could be evil and it could be nice. I don't think
you got to be
can
careful.
I don't think you can control it. And I
No.
think in these places where they're asking for all this, I think it's bad. Like,
Yeah.
because even though they say like, oh yeah, you know, one lady was telling us like, oh, bad spirits have tried to come in. We did other tours too.
Yeah.
Bad spirits have tried to come in, and you know, we just tell them to leave. And I'm like, yeah, if only it was that easily. The Amityville
like,
horror wouldn't have happened.
Go home
The
now.
Conjuring, like, no, just kidding. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like it's not that easy. And when you open yourself up to stuff like that, that's why I would prefer to stay closed. But when we do this stuff, part of me wants to kind of be like, what was that? You know, like, you know, so I don't know.
And again, you know, I think this tour is definitely, they want you to feel like you're gonna walk out of there being like, oh man, I got my money's worth, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
No, definitely.
But
And
everybody
I would
was
give
so
it a 5
nice,
star.
and yeah, everybody was nice. I would definitely go back again, like just the history of that house, and just to know that like everything that took place there, and it's so interesting. It really is so very interesting.
It was a lot of fun.
And everybody was so nice and so just welcoming and very helpful.
You don't have to go at night to experience anything. 'Cause I
No.
have to say that my coworker, she was there during the day during the tour.
Yes.
And she got that photo.
Yeah.
So, if $100 is a lot of money to spend.
Yes.
And so if you do an $8 toilet, like don't be I'm not going to go because I don't have it. Like
take
just for
the
daytime.
$10 daytime tour and just go
see what you get.
Just go. Yeah.
Take lots of photos.
Yeah.
But it was
definitely
a lot of fun, and we'll have more stories to tell you about on the other tours that we took and the history behind it. But
one more thing, when we went back to the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn.
Oh yes.
So we went back to our hotel at like 1:30 in the morning. We go to bed. We wake up in the morning and we get breakfast.
I have to say though, Gina has to sleep with the TV on.
Yes,
she has
sleep
it
with
on
the TV on.
HGTV 24/7 on a cycle.
Yes, I'm on HGTV.
Lottery Dream Winner.
Yes, that's my favorite show.
Don't change the channel.
Do not change it. We watch it like a year and a half ago. I had surgery done, and Shannon stayed with me out at a hotel, and I think we watched it from the time I got home from the hospital, and we spent the whole entire night till the next day, and I think we just watched it the whole time. Like it never
I'm telling you, she doesn't change the channel.
So so that's actually the same show that was on this time too.
Yes.
So we got up in the morning, we went and had breakfast, we came back to the room, we were watching My Lottery Dream Home, and Shannon fell asleep. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to take a shower. So I got up. I went in the bathroom. I took a shower, put my makeup on, did all that. I come out, and the TV's on basketball.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, whatever. She must have changed it or whatever. But she was asleep when I walked out.
Yeah.
So then wake her up. She goes and she gets in the shower. And then she comes out of the shower, and I was like, oh, sorry. I
changed it
back to my HGTV. And she was like, oh, I didn't change it. And I was like, oh, well,
to your basketball. You're like,
you put it on basketball? She was like, no, I didn't.
I was sleeping.
And she's like, I've literally been asleep from the second you stepped into the shower until now, like until I got in the shower. And I was like, oh, okay. So
we brought something, just putting it out there.
Some little kid that likes basketball.
Someone who likes
doesn't
basketball.
like My Lottery Dream Home. I don't know what to tell you. It's either HGTV or Bravo right now, because Vanderpump's giving me a run for my money.
Maybe I'll start watching.
Yeah, so if it's not one, it's the other. But I definitely don't watch basketball. So,
so that was our little experience back at the hotel room.
So that was
And I have to say, I didn't roll over the remote either, because it was nowhere near me.
Yes,
it was on her bed.
Because she even said, she
goes, we have two
separate
separate beds.
Yeah, we were sleeping in separate beds, and there was a nightstand in between us, and I had the remote on the nightstand next to my bed. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, well, I probably just I rolled over and I changed. And I was like, no, the remote's right here. It hasn't moved since where I left it.
First. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was our experience at the Whaley House. And again, if you guys get the chance to visit it, if you guys get the chance to visit that whole area, it's very, very cool. Eat some good Mexican food and
awesome.
Yeah, we had a great time. So
make sure, if you like it, subscribe.
Yes.
Click like, leave a comment. Please let us know what you think about the video.
Yeah, if you guys have been there, what was your experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear it.
If you have any pictures,
send it.
You can DM us.
Yeah, please.
We would love to see them on Instagram.
On our Instagram page.
I would love to see your pictures. So please DM us at 50 States of Madness on Instagram if you have anything. And
absolutely.
Yes, and thank you to our Patreons. If you'd like to support us on all of our adventures, we are at patreon.com/50 States of Madness. And that's all I got.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we will see you next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.